So I know the city got to put $40 up, right?
Yeah, you need to put $40.
You need a boy. Yeah.
They had, none of them responded there. I think they were talking about, well, you know, I
Sorry
got
to see all this
too many
discussion.
calls.
Just in a workshop.
To see.
Yeah, we did.
I know,
Yeah, we did.
yeah, that's right.
I'm excited about this.
We got to keep each other accountable.
I heard about it before.
Yeah,
But that's just me talking.
Yeah.
I agree. Something that,
Oh.
Now this was here. Is this yours?
that shows,
I brought your
anything
packet.
over there, just shows.
Oh, mine is. Yeah. Well, then I'll move else.
No,
I
just
made
your
you a packet
department.
of
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I guess that's yours. Russ, this is,
That's yours. I made it for you.
For you.
It's
Oh,
it's
okay.
a packet for tonight.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Didn't know if I was
Sorry,
wearing black
put
now
your
or
name
what.
on it.
It's just some pictures. We're on camera, by the way.
Perfect.
We're gonna do that.
Perfect.
Guys.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, see that way you got it?
It's 2021. Just like baby pictures. Perfect.
Did you guys like?
Like $80 goes down.
Yeah, I could have gone down the line a few times to get me in trouble. But if I end up with 5, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm going to call this City Council workshop together for the month of January 2021. Welcome to the new year. At this time, we're going to start out with our topics for discussion. The 2020 year-end review by me. 2020 has been one for the books. COVID-19, a breaking point due to social injustice, and a never-ending election cycle have stretched us all to the limit at times. But in spite of all the negatives, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the good we saw here in Guyton this year. Our biggest success of 2020 was personnel, with the hiring of a new city clerk, a city manager, a police chief, 2 new officers, and a new city attorney. Guyton is better prepared to help its citizens and move confidently into 2021. City Hall, the police department, and public works have all shown improvements in the services they provide. Guyton has engaged with MuniCode to put our ordinances available online, spatial engineering to provide better mapping of our utilities and properties, Georgia Technologies to make our offices more efficient, and EOM to maintain, improve, and operate our water and sewer systems. In the last 12 months, Council passed a much-needed overhaul to zoning, building, and subdivision codes. We passed a budget that lowered the city millage rate. We installed an ethics committee. We secured $115,000 in CARES Act funding and awarded grants to our local businesses to help with costs due to COVID. Just this past month, we negotiated a new waste contract that will save the city over $40,000 a year, making those funds available to continue to improve how we serve. In the coming year, you can all expect to see continued improvements throughout the city. Council's approved funds to improve drainage, install guardrails, and thanks to the passage of T-SPLOST, many more improvements will be made to our roads. We'll be using prison labor for projects to keep costs and your taxes low. The process of refurbishing Highland Park Playground is underway. Our city manager is spearheading a community development block grant to improve drainage and housing needs in our community. 2021 will be a year of great progress. My word for this year is communication. Last year we started these monthly workshops to encourage community awareness and involvement in our government. We stream all city meetings so people can safely attend and go back and view them later to be better informed on city business. I want to thank all of our city employees and our citizens who volunteer their time with P&Z and our historical committee. If you have ideas for improvements, please reach out and call us. If you have issues the city can help you with, please reach out. Your council, your city, and your mayor are here and happy to serve. Thank you all. At this time, we're going to move on to item B, the Georgia High-Low Trail, and present Miss Mary Charles.
Great, thanks all for having us. So I'm Mary Charles Howard. I'm the director of the Georgia High-Low Trail.
It doesn't pick
Do you want me to come up here?
I'll get you a mic.
Okay. Yeah, usually I'm a loud talker, but this is,
A lot of people are streaming in.
okay, do you want me to come and play?
Wherever's fine. Talk wherever you want.
Okay, great. So I'm Mary Charles Howard, and then I have my friend Ashley Parker here, who is a native of Effingham County. And I am so glad to be here. I live in Washington County, so Sandersville is the big town there, but I live in the tiny town of Worthing. We do not have a stoplight. We have a gas station, so that's fun. But I have a dream, and it involves all of you good people here. So our project is the Georgia High-Low Trail, and this trail is proposed to connect to the Firefly Trail, which the Firefly Trail starts in Athens, Georgia, and goes 39 miles south to Union Point, and then it just stops. And the reason it stops there is because the Firefly Trail is a rails to trails project, meaning it's following an old rail line, and that rail line stops in Union Point, so it's only 39 miles long. So I commuted from Athens to Worthing and back for about 4 years, and I would always pass this proposed trail, and just thought, it's not too far from my house. How about we keep the trail going to my house? Because in the middle of nowhere, when I moved back home and brought my little family there, we have nowhere to exercise. There's one playground at the rec department, and there are no trails. So let's get it going in our rural communities. So that's where the dream came from, is not just to bring it to my front door, but while we're coming, let's just take it all the way to Savannah, so that this trail will go from Athens to Savannah, connected to the Firefly Trail, and that's the Georgia High-Low. So I put this idea out on Facebook, Instagram. We also have a website, and that's where Ashley Parker found me, I believe. So Ashley, do you want to speak a little bit about your project? So it ties in here. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Hi, I'm Ashley Parker. I'm with Bike Effingham. It's a nonprofit that we use to service Effingham County and bring cyclists together to improve our county. I did discover Mary Charles and her High-Low Trail, and I've longed for taking the linear trail in Guyton and making it longer, maybe extending it north to Oliver and south towards Bloomingdale and Fuller, connecting Guyton to Chatham County. When I discovered Mary Charles's trail, it just seemed that Guyton's trail and Effingham County as a whole was a good piece in her trail to connect them. And the Central Georgia Railway bed that's long been abandoned since the 60s, which is part of the Guyton Trail, is for the most part still unused. And that's when she and I connected and wanted to see if we could include Effingham in the trail, which I think would be a great benefit for Guyton, a great benefit for Effingham County, and really put us on the map with a trail that would be one of the largest in the state and the United States.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to keep, thank you, Ashley. I'll keep going. I'll just get started with what I have here. So the trail potential trail here in Effingham County, on the old rail bed of the central Georgia, that runs 26 miles north to south through Effingham County. That is so exciting. I am just about to embark on research about all the dead rail lines across Georgia, and there's different terminologies of like an unused rail or a dead rail or a decommissioned rail, or there's different things that these rail companies refer those to and what those are allowed to do. But 26 miles is a really big portion to have in your state and a really great opportunity. And so when Ashley contacted me, I was sort of looking for a representative on the southern portion of the Georgia High-Low Trail to help. And so this was a perfect piece of the pie, and that brought us through Effingham County. I wasn't didn't really know where I was going to go. Wasn't sure if I was going to go through Effingham County or more to come in on the southern side of, so like kind of under Savannah, because it's hard to get on a bike through Savannah. So that's what the challenge we're also working on with the Bike Walk Savannah with their director. So you'll see the Georgia Highway Trail board on our first sheet. And then on the next sheet, you see we have a map of just a general way that the proposed route will go for the trail. So that topmost portion that's red, I know not all of y'all have a handout. There's one more here if you'd like to look along. This will make more sense to you. This topmost portion that's red, that's the Firefly Trail, and it's currently being built. So they have what they call model miles. So they put a model mile in each town so that that town can get a mile to use. And then they work on connecting through sort of the countryside, these model miles. So you'll see that from Oliver to Bloomingdale, that is the purple section is y'all at phase 2. And that might not be phase 2. We are not sure yet, and I'll get into why we're not sure exactly at what phase. And this is me, this is Mary Charles, just kind of having to put some numbers on things. Okay. So you'll see next we have the Kids Bike League. This is some work we did last year just to get into our community, and we'd like to bring this to all the communities along the trail. Ashley can help me with that here. He doesn't know it yet, but... So the Kids Bike League is something really cool. We teach kids how to ride bikes and give them a safe place to do so. And building a trail through their community opens up the minds of these young children. What if you could get on your bike and ride your bike up to Athens or safely ride it into Savannah? Like, how amazing would that be? So why would we do this trail? That sort of gets into do we need the trail? So there is a decline in wellness in rural communities, and I saw that coming from Athens. My husband and I lived in Athens when we moved back to Washington County, and there was just nowhere to exercise. And you kind of see that. People don't have a third space. They just go home, they don't get outside and exercise because there's no safe sidewalks or streets. So the solution is this road separated. This will not be like a side of the road trail. This will be road separated, paved trail that we're still working on trail standards, but 8 to 12 feet wide. And that way traffic can move both ways, it's safe, and people will really get out and explore their community. So it gives a space for your community to get out and see people. They're already seeing this in Winterville. The mayor lives on the trail. And the mayor of Winterville, for Firefly Trail, he said that he's seeing people in his community he's never met before. And it just opens up so much of communication, which is the word for the year. Is that right, Mayor? Okay. So model miles I spoke of on the next page. So model miles, that's a really great way. And you guys already have a model mile here in Guyton, right through town. So you're already checked on that. Firefly Trail, you'll see an example of how they've already gotten some of their trail going. Their trail is concrete. You can do concrete or asphalt, depending on if it's like in a more rural area where asphalt makes sense, or if you have a sponsor that wants to pave the trail for you. On the next page, you'll see trail fiber. What a revolutionary idea. Let's install internet next to the trail so that as we bring this trail to rural America, we're bringing internet with it. That would be a game changer, especially when you're coming to people and saying, we want to put a trail here, not necessarily with y'all's project because it's a rails, it would potentially be a rail trail. So the land is already there, but on other lands where we have to cross over private properties, they say, no, I don't really know about it. And we say, well, what about some internet? We're like, put it right in the front yard. So it really is revolutionary. We're talking to state leaders about this. So you'll see next the Rails to Trails opportunities. We have 2 of them that we know about on the proposed pathway. The first one is in my neck of the woods in Washington County, from Tinnell, right next to Sandersville, into Johnson County, which is Herschel Walker's home base, into Wrightsville. So Tinnell to Wrightsville, there's an old rail line, and we're talking with Norfolk Southern to get that decommissioned so that we can turn that into trail. Then you'll see a sketch for Effingham County on the next page. So we have Guyton all the way down, and this just shows what you can have in those parks. You can have some pocket parks, playgrounds, public restrooms with services, so that as people experience this, it's not just people coming through your town. This is for your community. This is a community-based project, and if people come through, which they will, that's a bonus. And you can see some vignettes of what that would look like. Now, the market for getting this done in Georgia, this is big on leadership for rural Georgia. Rural Georgia is in the mix, and so people really want to get things done. And also internet connectivity has been the spotlight of 2020. People know that's really important. So, and the trails, people have been using trails like crazy in 2020, so it's on the forefront. Getting a trail done like this is in the minds and hearts of those leaders at state level. Then you'll see the Athens to Savannah ride and tour. So that's when I met the mayor this year. We had the Athens to Savannah ride, so this is our annual fundraiser for the trail. We had 28 riders ride their bikes in 2 days from Athens to Savannah. So the first day was 101 miles. They rode 101 miles on their bicycles in the first day from Athens to Tinnell. And then second day was Tinnell to Savannah. And we had a rest stop here at City Hall. So thank you, Mayor. That was great. The restrooms were much appreciated for our riders. But we plan on doing that every year. And I say on that page, the Athens to Savannah ride and tour, because there's an opportunity to have a tour come through 12 weeks out of the year and potentially year-round. This is a guy, the tour comes from, there's a guy who lives in Knoxville, Tennessee. He used to run a European bike tour company, and his European bike tour company was shut down overnight with COVID. So all his clients are American clients, and they want to get out and ride their bikes, but now they have no tour company to do that with. So he wants to recreate himself in the Southeast, starting with the Athens to Savannah tour this spring, starting in March of this year. So I'm working with him, being the tour manager. I've been talking with Claudette at the B&B here, that the riders would stay here overnight on their way through. So this is something where it's an investment in all the small towns. We want this trail to go through the small towns and invest, and not only just have people that breeze through on our one day a year ride, but people come through all the time. So we can go ahead and see that return this year with that tour when we get that going. Okay, so what is next? All up to this point, I've been working on this idea for 2 years. Now it's time to put pen to paper and let's get a plan. And that's what I want to talk to y'all tonight about. And I wanted to come to the workshop. Thank y'all for having me at the workshop, because I want it to be a discussion of what do y'all see for your community now that you've heard sort of the grand idea and the possibilities. So, I am a landscape architect. That is my background. And I do master plans for a living. But this felt like too close to my heart for me to do, and we needed a bigger company. So we found the PAC Foundation, which is a nonprofit in Georgia. We are blessed that it is based in Atlanta, and they build trails in the Southeast. And if they adopt your trail, they find out how to get it funded. They help you. You don't have to go find all the things on your own. They help you. So they will do a comprehensive master plan with a strategy on how to get funding, how to get the land, how to talk to the communities and everyone, and all the things that you need. They've done it before. They've built 300 miles of trail in 30 years. And we're building 211 miles to connect to Firefly for a total of 250. So they've done this before. And so this is an example of a master plan that they've done before. This is the Covington Cricket Frog Trail, not near in scale of what we're doing, but there is nothing in scale of what we're doing with the Georgia High-Low. This will be the longest paved trail in the United States once it's done. So you'll see that if we get a comprehensive plan with PAC Foundation, we get the deliverables of the overall map, the visioning graphics. If you keep going through the pages, cost estimates, which you really need to start going after grant funding, fieldwork base map for each county. So each county will sort of get marching orders on what to do. A steering committee is one of the first things that we'll need to do, is pinpoint a person or two from each community that need to be the voice of that community for the trail. So they'll be a part of the steering committee with the other 7 counties. So there's total 8 counties that will be in the Georgia High-Low Trail. a timeline so we'll know when the heck we're going to be able to get on this trail and get on there with our kids. That's what I'm most excited about, is my children, of all the kids in the world that don't know how to ride a bike, my kids don't, because there's nowhere to ride. We have a dirt driveway, there's nowhere for them to learn. So I'm personally passionate about this. And then you'll also get trail standards, and this might be something on trail standards that you could also incorporate into existing trails for signage and other things around your community. So what does a comprehensive master plan of this scale cost? And that is the big question. So for Path Foundation to do a master plan for the Georgia High-Low Trail, they told us for a plan at this scale, it's $120,000. That is including of the strategy, them going to the communities and helping with, negotiations. But also we have 8 counties to divide that by. So if Effingham County and Guyton were to get involved in this, the comprehensive master plan, then it's a public-private partnership. And this sort of strategy came from Path Foundation, because when she said $120,000, I'm like, wait, do you know that I'm a nonprofit and I'm running this on my own during COVID with children at my house? Like, there's not $120,000. And she said, she is Greta, who's the director of Path Foundation. You divide $120,000 by 8 counties, that's $15,000 a county. Then your county and the cities within the county that are involved in the trail, they provide half of that. So $7,500 is half. Divide $7,500 by half, you get $3,250 for the city, $3,250 for the county. Then the rest of it comes from private entities. So that's companies in the community who are really excited about this. Georgia Power has already contacted me and asked how they can help, and they already donated $2,500 towards this project, the entire master plan, but that was before we even had any of these details. They said, do you have a plan? We'll put money in it. So now that we have more details, we can go back to big entities like that to get this match. And in Washington County, people are just mailing me checks and saying, we want to see this happen. And we don't want to see it happen in 20 years, we want it in 5 years. So that when our children go to college and they're looking at what town they're going to move home to, they'll decide to come back here, because it's the experience economy that our children want to live in, and the cure to the brain drain. So there's a lot of positive outcomes, and I am not here tonight to ask y'all for money. I just want to lay out the information of what I've been given, sort of what I'm armed with right at this point. And I kind of know to make this happen. And I'd like to have a discussion with y'all about, what does the city see for a trail, expanding the existing trail, and then also to continue the conversation, because I will need to go talk to Effingham County. So perhaps a strategy on that and what Effingham County might be looking at too. So thank y'all.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was wonderful. We will be sharing this video tonight, which is why I made sure to get you the microphone, with our county commissioners. Effingham County Health has expressed interest, as well as some other large corporations here in the county. A lot of them are promoting wellness for their employees. What you said about the small town experience, the experience economy, where people want to live out here. They don't necessarily, a lot of them have to work in Savannah, but they want to have somewhere to play. The next 2 years definitely are going to be outdoors still. A lot of folks are experiencing that kind of life. We all got bikes from Santa this year for Christmas. So it's a different world, and this is one of those things. I met with Path and High-Low. When was that meeting?
December 1st.
Back in the beginning of December. Talked to one of the engineers at length and saw trails in Conyers. Were we in Conyers?
That's right.
It was somewhere around Atlanta.
But
Beautiful work they had done, amazing trails and stuff like that. And it just, after knowing how successful our trail is here in town, how many people we have people who bike it, walk it, travel it, and there have been multiple folks, not just Ashley, but multiple people who were just like, it'd be really cool if the trail went further. I want it to go longer. And I think it's a great idea. I'll be sharing this video, as I said. I'm going to get you to give me a PDF of this, email it to me so I can share it with all those other interested parties. And if anyone is interested, please feel free to reach out to City Hall. Our information's on the website. I'll share contact information. Bike Effingham is on Facebook and a really good direction to go. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts for Ashley?
I don't know if you've been to the trail in Bloomingdale, but it's almost identical to the one at Guyton. And the city manager one time called their trail the trail to nowhere. Citizens call it a trail to nowhere because it's just 2 miles long, and it basically just goes from city limit to city limit. And that phrase is always just stuck in my head that they call it the trail to nowhere. So I definitely want to connect Guyton and Bloomingdale.
Yeah.
That way one day it's not a trail to nowhere. It's a trail to somewhere.
Very good. Anything, Mr. Lee? Bill? We appreciate y'all. Thank you for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving on. Review of the 2021 utility and permit fee schedule. Mr. Sawyer? By the way, I'm going to make both the council members who weren't here watch this video too. So, they both have very good excuses, a honeymoon and a child, so, which maybe one will leave. Never.
Mayor, Council, one of the things that we're going to need to do is on our new service connection fees. I think Ms. Malone and I have talked about this before. The only change I'd like for you to make would be to add a deposit fee of $18.83 for our garbage sanitation customers. $18.83. No, we're not going to vote on that tonight, but we put it on the next agenda for next Tuesday. So unless you've got some questions, that is my recommendation for $18.83 for the sanitation garbage company. Deposit.
The deposit is so when folks leave without telling us, we recoup the cost that we have to pay out to the trash company because they have provided the service even though we're not getting paid for it, correct?
Right, we're in the hole first month.
My question, is there any positive reason to maybe increase that deposit for our water and sewer requirements, or is there not a water and sewer
No, we're
requirement?
not. You're asking, should we increase that deposit? The deposit already is $75 each for water and sewer. Our garbage is $0, and you're getting the month in arrears, so technically.
We already have a deposit for those.
We have no deposit for
I don't think
garbage.
so.
We do for water and sewer.
Oh. That's the connection fee, is what you're saying. It's not really a deposit, is it? It's a fee.
It's a connection fee that we don't go in the hole on, but in the garbage, we go in the hole.
Okay. All right.
It was my understanding that we do actually go in the hole for that. Cause the net connection fee, when they leave, they still owe money on there, and we don't know that they're gone, they still owe money. Correct?
The issue was, could we separate the renters from everybody else? And technically, no.
Right.
And so we just charge everybody, now is a good time to do it because we've got new customers.
Right.
We charge everybody that deposit of $18.83. Number one, you're not in the hole that first
Right.
month. And number two, if that person does leave, we can do a better job of accounting to find out.
Right.
We're sending a letter out to the homeowners and everybody, letting them know that it's not our job to subsidize their trash bill when they leave. Sometimes you don't find out about it for 20, 40, 60 days.
Right.
So under this system, the water and the sewer $75 connection fee. My question, the trash would be a deposit, which would have to be refundable.
The trash is a deposit, not a connection fee, and that deposit, some counties and cities have let it ride, and then at the end of the year. We don't do that because we're in the whole year. We're in the whole month.
Would it be feasible, or would it be easier for the office to do that as a fee instead of a deposit? Do like a trash fee? Just curious.
In all honesty, Mayor, as long as I get $18.83, you can call it what you want to. I just don't want to be in the hole.
I understand. That's my budget, man. Okay, I was just curious. I mean, if I like to save staff as much time as I can, so if a fee is something, it's just a thought. But if a deposit is just as easy and it's not a staff issue, then deposit's fine.
Well, all we do is go into Edmunds, our software program, and put in whatever that fee or deposit, deposit, 1883, and we're covered.
So the system just kicks it back out.
Shouldn't cause any problems at all.
Cool. Any other questions regarding the utility permit fee schedule? No other changes besides the deposit?
No, sir.
All right, moving on to sanitation waste pro, Bill Sawyer.
As you know, Mr. Mayor and Council, on January the 18th of this year, Waste Management will pick up their trash the next day after meeting with Waste Pro today. Sometimes Monday of next week, we should have the new Waste Pro customers out. So if you've got trash, as someone asked on the 20th, you should be able to put your trash in that container. It should be at your house. I'm sure there's going to be some issues because remember, we're giving the new company the list of what we already have. In the meantime, there may be some people that sign up, but we're going to have some extra carts. We're going to have 2,000 carts here tomorrow. So we think we've got a handle on this. We're ready to go.
Excellent. Just for everybody's attention, if you have questions about the new trash service, feel free to call City Hall, 772-3353. Can we get those dates again? Does anyone have those in front of them right now? Oh, you the best. January 18th and 19th will be Waste Management's last trash collection days, and the 22nd will be their last recycling day. On the 18th, 19th, and 22nd, leave your carts out for Waste Management to collect. If you do not need service those days, still put your carts out by the road so they can be picked up, and you'll get a Waste Pro cart to replace it. If you have questions, if something's not looking right, just give City Hall a call, and we'll get it taken care of. Any questions for Mr. Sawyer?
Yes, I do have a question just for myself. I have 3 trash cans and a recycling can. So will I get that same amount replaced at this time?
Great question. The list that we give is exactly what you have right now. That's what they are to replace it with.
Thank you.
And if they don't, I'm sure that people will let us know.
Yes, sir.
That's another interesting note, just so people know who are watching. If you live in an area that we provide water to, but we do not do your trash service, for example, Honey Ridge Plantation, the Honey Ridge subdivision, we do your water, but we don't do your trash. So if you don't have a Waste Management can and get your bill from the city of Guyton, that's not us. Any other questions? Moving on to zoning administrator, Councilwoman Pelote.
Yes. Okay, as you know, and I keep putting this on our agenda, is because we need someone in our office for planning and zoning administrator. And I just want to keep this to the forefront. And at the beginning of the year, because I would like for, us to talk about a job description and put that out there for someone to be hired for that job, at least by March, if that's doable.
I agree, a zoning administrator is a role that we need in the city. I think March might be a little...
ambitious?
Yes, because we're still working off the old budget. So coming up with small pay raises or 3,000 here for this, but we're talking about an entire salary, which I'm going to guess, what would that mean, 40,000 at least? 40, 45. I mean, it's a huge budget item on it. So I know it's doable when we plan for the budget, if we plan for it. So it's a conversation we've got to have today, but I just don't know if it's going to be doable before the new fiscal year in July.
Okay. Well, that's understandable.
Plus, I want to get someone great, so I'm in no rush to.
Most definitely, most definitely. We want someone that's great.
But it's definitely something we need.
So we'll work on that for the upcoming budget then.
What's our current growth rate in the city? You can just yell at me. 7%, 8%?
In February, we start on our budget. We start the budget calendar. By the end of February, the middle of March, we'll have that budget. After talking to Ms. Pelote and the rest of the council, that zoning administrator will be budgeted by the middle of March sometimes. I think at that time, I kind of agree with Ms. Below on this. I think you should start advertising then. Number one, you've got to vet those people. We have to bring them in. So I'm the only one that had actual zoning administrative experience. We've got to interview that person. That person's got to give their notice to wherever they are. And then we've got to train them in the Guyton way, which is the Effingham County way and the Sly County way, but
Right.
we want to do it our way. And then city council has to ratify, because remember, city council appoints the zoning administrator. I'm the zoning administrator now. That's somebody I don't appoint. I only recommend. So you guys have, as your council, have to do that.
Is he in our personnel policy, would that role, he or she, my apologies, 2021, would they be like a department head? Would zoning be a
The
zoning?
department head, but that one falls under me. Council appoints them, answers to me.
Okay, just curious how it was worked in our charter and our setup. Any other questions regarding zoning administrator? All right, moving on to GMA generator grant, Bill Sawyer.
The annual report for the GMA generator grant of $246,000 has been submitted. We are now waiting for GMA and FEMA to approve our latest supplement to the generator grant. I see no reason for that not to be finished, certainly in 25 or 30 days. I talked to them as late as yesterday. Just to refresh your memory, that's basically a $240,000 stipend that we get from the state and the feds, put in generators in all of our lift stations, which does not cost the taxpayers of this city money, but is given to us through GMA and through FEMA. So it's a worthwhile project, very meritorious project, but it has been slow. So we're working on it, and we'll just see what happens down the line. I think probably in the next 25 or 30 days, we should be finished.
Thank you for all your hard work on that. Any questions regarding that? On to SPLOS projects.
SPLOS projects, council agreed with me that we need to rebid these gymnasium windows. We did on January the 29th, on a Friday at 2 o'clock. We will be here to reopen the bids. We made a couple of changes. Number one, we don't need canopies on the outside of those windows, which should save us, in my estimation, $30,000 or so. We've taken a little bit of the bonding away from the requirement, because we have basically a part in the contract that says that you must complete this project in a timely fashion. So I think we'll come in certainly under the original bid that we had. It's a good project. We need to go ahead and finish so that we can finish repairing this building. But January the 29th at 2 o'clock, we will open the bids. You're welcome to attend.
Moving on.
Crossgate, believe it or not, we started on Crossgate yesterday in the drainage problem. After 11 years of horror, we started on that project. The Griffith Street guardrail project, if you notice, there's a backhoe in behind the gym and a bunch of metal and some dirt and some timbers and some gravel outside of this area. We started on that project today. We also met with the clerk, the grant writer, the engineers on our community development block grant and drainage issues and housing rehabilitation in East Guyton. And we continue to work on that, and hopefully next week the housing man will come in and start reviewing the houses and go from there. So we've gone from no projects completed to, in the last 7 months, about 11 projects completed. It was a good year. 2020 was, if we can keep up in 2021 what we did in 2020, we'll have a successful year. Our finances are in order. We have, and we'll discuss this at our next council meeting, we've made successful inroads in some of our unusual areas that we've had. We'll save that for next week. But all in all, the city is in good financial condition. Our projects are moving along. There's no issues with staff. It's been a good 2020. It's been a pleasure to work here. Be happy to answer any questions.
You shy from the limelight and you do not take enough credit, but I would like to say thank you from myself and my council that without you, Bill, the majority of these projects would not be where they are. The progress we've done would not be made, and we are very grateful. Thank you, Mr. Sawyer.
Thank you so very much.
Anyone for open discussion? No? You want to run through the bike path again?
I'm gonna let Ashley run around the gym, literally.
It's a gym. We could shoot hoops.
Yeah.
I would not do it on camera. All right, dates to remember. Next week, 7 p.m., same place, same time. We will have our city council meeting, if anyone cares to join us. Monday, January 18th, City Hall will be closed for Martin Luther King Day. Wednesday, January 20th, I'll be here at the gym from 1 to 6, taking people's blood. We're doing a Guyton Community Blood Drive with the American Red Cross. If you'd like to sign up, there were a few spaces left as of this morning when I checked, but we so far had 15 signed up to donate and 19 spots available. So if you're available January 20th, Wednesday, from 1 to 6, and could give blood, plasma, or any number of things, there's some benefits. They're going to check it for COVID antibodies free of charge. You can get that information back. They're going to enter you to win 2 tickets to the Super Bowl of 2022. There's also a chance to win a TV, if I read the thing correctly, but I didn't have time to fully read it before I got here. So that's not just your local, that's everyone donating blood through the American Red Cross for, I think, the month of January. Tuesday, January 26th at 7 p.m. will be a Planning and Zoning Committee meeting here at the gymnasium, if you are interested in attending that. At this time, is there anything, oh, no, we already did that. Consideration to adjourn the City Council workshop. Got a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. We're out. Thanks, everybody.
Y'all don't have them good things like pass like that.
Hey, Charles. Thank you for coming. No, I never been to do that. Have a good day. Thanks for coming.